morning, good afternoon, good night, good one, whatever you are, whenever you are. My name is Leticia, and welcome. If it's your first time, if it's not your first time, welcome back. And today, I thought we should finally start discussing a little bit of color theory, because we've been talking about it a lot, but we haven't really have like a talk about it where I can actually explain like what are my thoughts, what are the theories I base myself on. So I thought today would be a good day for that. So let's start. If you're interested in color theory, but you know nothing about it or very little about it, this video is for you, I suppose. Or if you just want like also a refresher, maybe. I did study a lot of color theory back in university because, you know, architecture. I took a lot of design related courses, and I practiced a lot like along my life, like also with suppose, you know, also with the makeup artist course and all of that. After studying a lot, I think I have like enough knowledge about it to be able to help you understand yourself and your coloring and maybe start seeing it around the world. Something else that I want to talk about is the lighting. This is night, actually I'm recording at night, and I hope you can notice that the light is much better. I'm trying new lights. I hope it works. Please tell me if you like it, if the new lighting it's better. I actually have like no makeup, nothing, so if you like the resolution, I'm just oily. I played tennis today. But like, tell me if you guys like it. So back to the topic. A basic theory about color, right? I think that what I can assume that most people know about is that there are cold colors and warm colors. Most color theories around the world that I know of talk about that. So basically, there are many things about color. We have a lot of code representations of color. Color is represented in different ways depending on where you're talking about color. So if you're talking about light, color is built in light in a different way than is built on paint, for example. Or so when you have a screen and you have a computer, we talk a lot about RGB, which is red, green, and blue, and those are the base to create all colors. We also have CMYK, which is cyan, yellow, magenta color system, which is also a computer color system. So we have like lots of different color systems in the computer, which is basically how light creates color. But we also have the color that we use to paint physical paper, and that's the one I think most people are familiar with. And in this system, the paint one, like the physical system, not light, we have basically three primary colors, which is blue, red, and yellow. Basically, I have a color wheel here. So if you guys don't remember, if you people don't remember, maybe for school or something else, you have the red, the yellow, and the blue as primary colors. And then mixing yellow and red, you have orange, red and blue, you have purple, and blue and yellow, you have green. Those orange, green, and purple are the secondary. Mixing the secondaries, you get the tertiaries, and so on. But like, this is okay. You can like just look at the circle and understand. But why am I saying this? Because every color, most of every color, except for the extremely pure ones, are a mix of other colors, right? So, for example, my skin, I think if I put my skin close to this color wheel, you can see that my skin is not like clearly green, nor clearly blue, nor clearly purple. And when it comes close to the red, you're like, oh, I can see a resemblance. So like basically my skin would be very close to this orange, or even this red orange here, right? And that's the thing that matters when we start talking about like makeup, because one of the reasons we use makeup is to try to show our features and enhance our features, whatever way it is. If you like full lips, thin lips, big eyes, bedroom eyes, whatever it is. I'm not like here to say like what is you should look like, but color is a tool. So basically, if you know how your colors work on yourself, which is the canvas, basically, if you're an artist, you're going to understand like this is my canvas, this is what I have to work with. How can I change it, enhance it? Or maybe I want to show one of my features, I want to draw attention to them. Like, how do I do that with color? You can do that with texture, you can do it with a lot of different things, but like most things people notice, like humans notice, it's color. Color is like one of the first things we notice about anything. So basically, knowing how to work with your colors is going to help you to create the effects you want. Which means, for example, my skin, of course, is not as simple as like, oh, I think I'm kind of like red orangey color, and so everyone kind of like falls into the same family, basically. Not as simple as that. I'm gonna go more into this. Most color theories, they are gonna tell you that red is a warm color, yellow is a warm color, blue is a cold color. So basically they're going to tell you that this line here kind of in the middle, these are the warm colors. So from this kind of violet, kind of reddish until this yellowish green, you have kind of like warm colors. And those are the cold colors. This is not a perfect science. Why do I say that? Because this is perception, okay? So basically that's the perception of people of color, of what colors mean. So if you look at yellow, you have the sensation of warmth. There are other things that are also connected to color being warm or cold, like usually cold colors, they tend to look like they're more distant, they are smaller, and they are colder. And warm colors are the opposite. They bring forward whatever they are like a property of, like whatever they are painting. So they bring forward, they make it look a little bigger, but those are all impressions of our mind. It's not like something physical. So let's go to the color breakdown. So what is the color breakdown? Color, it's composed of a lot of things. So when we talk about color, we have the hue, which is the color itself, like the color name that we usually use. It can be blue, orange, red, gray, purple, but that will be like those colors that we see here in the color wheel, the pure colors. But we also have other things connected to colors. We have also the value, which is the value is relative to the light or darkness of a color, which implies that there's like a gray scale. So basically adding black or white. We also have the intensity of the color, chroma or saturation, which is how pure the color is. Inside those classifications, then we can have tints, which means that the color is mixed with white. So the hue, the pure hue, saturation is mixed with white. We also have a tone that means that the color has been mixed with gray. And we have a shade that means that the color has been mixed with black. And neutral gray, neutral black would be like 100% balanced combination of black and white. Like, so all the shades of gray that are like perfect balance. But again, it's very difficult to have perfect balance in the world. So That usually does not happen unless you have like a huge control of what you're doing, like usually when you're like in a computer and choosing the percentage. Otherwise it's very hard to do that. Okay, for example, here the red. This first red is a tint. So is this color pure saturation hue with white. So this is basically creating a pink, which makes total sense. But you can also mix it with gray, which is the middle one here. Then you create a tone. So it's basically black and white at the same time. And you can also mix with white. Then you kind of get this burgundy, like deep color, right? So those differences like white, the gray, the black mixed in the color also happens in our complexion, in our hair, in our eyes, everywhere in nature. So basically that's why I say like colors are a little more complicated than just saying like, oh, I'm kind of orangey. Yeah, but there are a lot of things going on. And when we start talking about coloring, complexion, and aesthetic of like personal coloring, we have like a lot going on. And it helps if you really want to like go deep into it, if you start noticing colors around you. And for example, even comparing things. For example, if you start noticing around you objects, you will see like there is blue. This is kind of blue, but this blue is more yellow than this one that is more purple. See, and sometimes if you look at only this one, you see, oh, it's blue, but not really. It's a very reddish blue. Because see, you start to getting closer to the red. So this is not a pure blue, it's a blue violet. This is a pure blue. And this starts to get into green territory, which means that there is yellow added to it, because green is blue and yellow. So by itself, it might look cool, but it might be a cooler green, and the green itself that would be like a cold color might be warmer than the blue or the turquoise here. So it's comparing, like trying to pay attention, like, oh, tomato red is a little different than cherry red, which is different than apple red. So looking at things around you, you start like noticing color and tuning your eyes to perceive it better, which will allow you to perceive like your complexion and other people's complexion better. It's, of course, it's a work, but if you're interested, that's how you can get better at it. Why does it matter? Basically. So, as I said before, like you can do a lot of makeup and also fashion. Same thing I said about makeup applies for fashion. You can enhance your features or make some parts of yourself like just grab more attention than others. Whatever you want, you can do with color. And there are some classifications, right? So there are a lot of systems going on around the world that help you to classify yourself. So most of them talk about being cold and warm colors, and they translate it usually to our undertones, which will be if you have bluish and even reddish undertones, which would be a little colder here, and then you might be very yellowish, you'll be very warm. I don't agree with that. I don't think that it's that simple. I, for instance, like if you look at me, I look very yellow, but I'm not warm at all. Skins are a little more complex than it seems, because they have undertones and tones. They have many colors mixed to make one thing, one coloring that you're perceiving. Like you are perceiving me in one color, but there are many colors mixed in my skin that makes this as a final product, right? And also, even if you pay attention, the color I have in my nose is not the same I have in my forehead, it's not the same I have in my cheeks, it's not the same on my chin, it's really not at all the same I have in my lips or in my eyes. So when we talk about color, we usually are talking about like personal coloring. We're usually talking about a perception overall. Some personal coloring systems go so deep to say that there is like a 50% personality involved there. And that's like up to you to know what you believe or if you think it matches. But I'm just going to go through like overall how they usually work. So most of them divide people in 4 groups, which will be the 4 seasons. It's very easy to remember. So basically you have winter, which is cool and bright. You have autumn, which is dull and warm. You have summer, which is dull and cold. And you have spring, which is bright and warm. It's when I say dull, I don't mean anything bad by it. I mean just like low level of contrast, right? And a lot of gray in those colors. So it's a lot more complex. I'm just like giving like a big overall. And some systems divide each one of the 4 seasons in 4 other groups. Yeah, 4 other groups. So basically you have 16 groups, because if you're winter, you can have like a subgroup, which is you can be a winter close to fall, which is a deeper winter, which is my case, for example. You can be a pure winter, which is a very bright winter. You can be a winter with like summer, which is a winter closer to summer, which is a winter that is more doom or gray. And you can have a winter that is closer to spring, which is a little brighter and warmer. So there are a lot of things behind that. I'm just giving like an overall, just so you understand what's out there. So those are most used, I think, systems. Some people also divide by seasons, but instead of just saying like, oh, you're warm and you're bright, they also take into consideration the contrast level in the person. So it's not just following the coloring, it's also following the level of contrast. So for example, if you look at me, I have a high level of contrast. My skin is relatively fair. My eyes, eyebrows, hair, they are dark. So that creates like almost an effect like black and white. That means that I have a high level of contrast and it's very dynamic in my complexion overall. Some people, for example, Jennifer Aniston, I think, yeah, Jennifer Aniston, she has like that blonde caramel hair going on. Her complexion is also tanned. Her eyes are light. So basically, if you just look at her fast, you see that it's basically a blur, right? There's not contrast, like you can't see any feature specifically. It's just like an overall vibe on her. That means it's a low level of contrast. And there are also, I think like some people classify her as like medium contrast. It's very confusing out there. So it's like there's no one right answer. It's what you understand and what you believe and what you feel like it's true for yourself and what looks good on you. I'm just trying to give you the tools, right? And there are also some systems that will tell you that a lot of your personal coloring has also to do with your personality, which I think it's a cool concept overall, but I don't think it matches for most people. I mean, if it works for you, that's great. For me, it did not work very well. But I really think they're very, very interesting concept. And there is one person, I can link her down below. I think her name is Merida, if I'm not mistaken. and she goes really deep into colors, and her classifications doesn't even have to do with seasons, basically, for as far as I can remember. She goes into like picking coloring and actually looking at the person with different colored outfits and trying to pin down where this person is, like in a gradient. And she kind of created a gradient that I've never seen before, which is super interesting. So basically, she's saying that red and green, they are neutrals. And blue is cold and yellow is warm. And I've never heard that before, first time in my life. I don't know if it's just me, if it's normal and I am the only one that never heard about it. But I think it was super interesting, and I actually agree. After like a lot of observations, I can say that I do agree, because it makes a lot of sense. Like, you can have people with a lot of blue undertones that are cold, people with a lot of yellow undertones that are warm, but there are a lot of people that, well, I mean, all people will have a little bit at least of the all colors, but the green and the red being neutral makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, like, it's kind of, there's no balance in the color wheel, and I think that's a very cool approach. Also, because I noticed that there are a lot of people who are very close to the neutral scale, which is my case, for example. I don't have a lot of blue undertones. What I do have is a lot of red undertones, but in a little bit of the blue ones, but a lot of red. That makes me a neutral with a little bit lean into the cold spectrum, but a neutral. Neutral cold, let's say, which is very in tune with my perceptions of the colors that look good on me and that look bad on me. I mean, colors that don't make me glow as much and things like that look bad on me. And there are a lot of people with green undertones, which will be the olive, and they also have like a tendency of being like warm or cold, and that works very well. So basically then you have like a scale which is neutral here, and you could go both ways, cold or warm. I think that works very well, like, for my perception. I really like it. That allows me to understand a little better how like color works overall in the complexion. Basically, what we take from this is like skin color is very complex and nuanced, but with exercising your eyes, you will be able to tell. One of the easiest ways, as I said, is put on your clothes, look at the mirror, maybe take photos, see how you look. Also, another good thing to do, if you ignore the cut, if you can ignore the cut, like if your clothes fit you well and that's not the problem, what are the clothes that make you feel like good? Why does that happen? Because I can bet that most of the times the color has a lot to do with it. When you put on the clothes, you look at yourself in the mirror and you feel good about it. It's usually because the color, which is a big component, is a good color for you. So try to pay attention on your favorite clothes, and what do they mean? They probably follow a pattern. And try to do that exercise and try to connect with yourself and your coloring. One thing that I want to say is don't get too attached to classification. Like, oh, I'm a deep dark winter. It can help, but it can help you because you can, of course, search online and get inspiration, but don't get super attached to that. It's more about trying to find tools to help you, right? Look your best or whatever you want to look like. Because sometimes you're going to discover, I don't know, that greens and reds look lovely on you, but then you're like, no, I want to cause a contrast, so I want to use yellow. Or maybe you just really love yellow and you still want to use yellow. That's your problem. Have nothing to do with it. Go for it. But then you will be aware of the kind of thing and effect you'll be creating, right? So basically, I think that's the most important part. Okay, this was an overall. Let me know if you like it, if you want me to talk more about it, if you have questions. Let me know here in the comments. Like the video, subscribe if you didn't, and I see you in the next one. Bye!